I want to take a little break right now. I want to slow things down and let you know that this is not just going to be a course of technique after technique after technique in the studio. Boring! Take a walk. It might be a walk over to the coffee shop or to the local park. I hope that you are lucky enough to live in a place where you have some access to nature and the natural world, and you can just pause, sit on a bench, and just notice what's going on around you. Part of what I hope to do in this course then is to take some of these little interludes and offer just a few ideas, a few words of wisdom from wise folks that have guided me on the creative path through books, poetry, other paintings. That's what we need to do once in a while, just as a matter of course, to stop and slow down, take a pause, and think about what other people have said about being creative, about being an artist, about living a watercolor life. Winston Churchill wrote a little book about painting. It's a pretty amazing little book, actually, and I hope you'll take a look at it. During the darkest days of World War I, 1917, when Winston Churchill was already in middle age, he went through a pretty huge depression. The world was messed up, his life was messed up, and Winston Churchill went out and bought a box of oil paints, and he started painting, and it really impacted his life. It changed his life. It brought joy into his life in a way that he'd never had before. And of course, he went on to great things, becoming prime minister and leading England through some of its darkest hours. But when he first got that paint set, he went out in the garden of a place nearby and set up his easel and set up his canvas, and he just sat there frozen. He just didn't know what to do. He had all the voices that we all carry that are criticizing our effort, telling him that what he was doing was ridiculous. Until a friend, who was also an artist, named Lady Orphan, came to visit him, and she saw him sitting in the garden and realized right away what was going on because he had talked to her about getting his paint set. And she walked over and stared at the blank canvas for a second and then said, "Oh, I can see you're having some trouble getting started." And she grabbed his brush and she grabbed some blue, and she just started sloshing a sky onto his canvas. And she said, "Well, how do I get you started?" And Winston was a little startled, and he took the brush and he kept on going. And he never stopped after that. He just kept painting. He had quite a few paintings in his life. They're interesting to look at. But what he realized that day was that it takes audacity. That's what he called it. He says, I realized I needed audacity to be an artist. You just have to have the guts to just decide, okay, I'm going to do it, and just dive in. And that's what this course is about, is just go ahead and dive in. You don't have to have the most expensive brushes and paper. You don't have to have all your materials completely purchased and laid out, and you just need to start. Just give it a try. Watercolor is probably the simplest of the media because all you need is those four things we've talked about: paint, paper, a brush, and some water. And if you have those four things, you're ready to do some experiments. So let's use Winston for our inspiration and just dive in here. Let's just give it a try. None of us are great at this yet, but we're going to keep trying it over and over again. We're going to try some stuff. Winston said, "You know, they say that practice makes perfect, and they say nobody's perfect. I wish they'd make up their minds." One thing Winston said also is that, since he was already 40 years old before he even started thinking about painting, he said, I don't have time to go to art school. I don't have time for all those lessons and classes and learn how to draw and all that stuff. He says, I just have enough time left in my life to just take a joyride in a paint box. And that's sort of what we're going to do with this class, is we're just going to look for the joy, just have some fun with it, take all the pressure off our shoulders, and just start trying some stuff. Hi, I'm Bob. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you'll go by my website at watercolorwithbob.com. That's where you'll find an interactive outline of the whole course. You can also share your work with me and your fellow students. One thing I really love about watercolor is how accessible it is. That's why I realized it was important to me to put this course out for free. That said, it would mean the world to me if you would support this work. You can like it, you could share it with your friends, you could subscribe to the channel, you could also visit the gift shop or even make a donation. Thanks so much. See you on the next lesson, and happy painting. just go ahead and do it. You can get forgiveness later.